Welcome to the SBP Podcast Mobile Filmmaking. I'm your host, Susie Botello, and you are listening to episode 110. Beraat Gokkus actually shot his film back in 2016 as he was fleeing Turkey while he was vacationing in Paris, in France. He was a journalist. If you know a little bit about the history of what was happening then, if you don't, that's okay. Beraat is going to share just a tip of that, but he's going to share the reason why he was fleeing Turkey and as a journalist and why he shot this story sort of as a journalist / filmmaker with his phone, his iPhone. But one of the things that he's also going to share are some very intimate details about his film, The Lost Pen. The Lost Pen has actually won many awards around the world. And the film is almost 50 minutes long, and it was shot all in one take. Now, it's an exceptional film. His stories are going to keep you on the edge of your seat, very captivating and very inspiring. I now introduce you to Beraat. Hey Beraat, how are you tonight?
I'm fine. How are you, Susie?
I'm doing great. Hey, it's a real pleasure having you on our podcast. After how long? How many years has it been? It's been 2017, all the
Yes.
way through.
Yeah. It's my pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's an honor. So listen. I wanted to share with our listeners your background story.
Okay.
I introduced you at the beginning of the podcast, and I want to let everyone know how important it is and what an honor it is to have you on our podcast to share your background story, starting from right before the Breakfast of Champions
Mm-hmm.
until the Breakfast of Champions. And I want to, I've got some questions in my mind that I want to ask you.
Yeah.
And also, I think we should start though a little bit about you. You know, who is Beraat? Who is this guy?
Yeah. It's a difficult question. If you think like in a deep way who I am, it's a big question, but I got it. I mean, I'm from Turkey, Istanbul. I'm a journalist and filmmaker. I am living in France, Paris right now.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to do, short movies, and I try to write my feature movie, and I try to continue to be a journalist at the same time. What I can tell you right now, it's that, but of course, it's a big question who I am on the other hand.
All right, let me ask you better. What
Yeah.
made you? How did you come to be
Yeah.
a journalist to start with?
Oh, wow. It was 2013 in Turkey. There was a big manifestation. Young people were protesting the government for a park. It was a Gezi Park, actually. It's a really big moment in Turkey at that time. And after those manifestation, I decided to be a journalist, and then I find a job. I was a reporter for international news for a big newspaper, and then I keep doing it until now. But in 2016, there was a coup attempt in Turkey. And then after that horrible thing, I mean, the government closed like 200 media in Turkey. newspapers and radio stations and television channels and so on. And then they closed also the newspaper that I was working for. And after that, I decided to come to France because it was kind of dangerous for me as a journalist. I mean, I call it like, self-exile, because at that time I did not know against me if there is some something on court against me, etc. But
like a warrant,
yeah, exactly. But I solved the situation, and I decided to not go back to Turkey because some of my friends were in custody at that time, and it was really
so scary, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was really dangerous. Actually, I was in Italy for vacation with my girlfriend, and it happened. I mean, that coup attempt in 2016 July, and then I decided to go to France because I can speak French. So I said to myself, it can be easier.
Hey, you're not the only one.
That's great. So I came to here and try to create a new life. Still, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And at that time, I did Breakfast of Champions, and thanks to you, I mean, you chose it, selected for your festival.
So let me share with our listeners. So first of all, you decided to become a journalist, but you had to have a little bit of background to feel like confident that you could do that.
Of course,
obviously,
yeah.
And when like what you were just saying, that you were in Italy, and then you thought, I can't go back, right? Because of this whole thing that's happening. And I'm sure that was very scary, and you're worried about your friends and your, the people that you're close to there. But so you go to France, and you go there with your girlfriend, right? Or
no, just myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you go there all by yourself. You basically just have, whatever you brought to Italy with you.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah,
little.
Your toothbrush and your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things
And
for 2 weeks.
Right. The good thing is, like, I mean, whatever camera you had, right? At least you had your phone that had a camera.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure there were a few days that led up to the moment of Breakfast of Champions, right?
Yeah.
So the situation is, you're standing in line, right? And this was this the first day you had been in line?
I mean, as a asylum seeker, it was the first time, because it was the day that you have to have your appointment date. That's why it was the first line. You had to do that, and and you should take your rendezvous. The date for meeting, the day that you can give your file to them. So it was
that
the first.
Step one.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, it's early 6 a.m. and I will be like at first person.
It's ironic,
at the line.
You guys, because it's 6 a.m. right now where Beraat is.
Yeah, it is. So I was like, okay, I will go there and I will be the first person because it's early, because they will open the doors like 9 o'clock, something like that. So I was naive but when I was there, I saw that people are just sleeping in the line to be in front of everybody. So I was I was like at the end of the line, and you can see it in the movie. So I was,
Did you
I
sleep
yeah,
at all the night before? I mean, because I'm imagining there's so many different situations and reasons why people were just like exhausted.
yeah. I was stressful. Yeah, it was not easy to sleep, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, I tried, but it was not easy, of course.
And I'm sure everybody else was there in the same situation. And so they're waiting in line and they're just falling asleep right there.
Yeah, there was, they were sleeping on the ground actually in the line because they don't want to miss their place. And actually, the reason was, they opened the doors, and just I saw it at that day. In 10 minutes, they closed it, and you see in the movie the situation at that time in 2017. It should
Yeah.
be, yeah. Or in it was in 2016 maybe. Anyway,
Yeah. So when
yeah,
that happened was before you actually made the film, So and you submitted it for the 2017, which would have
yeah,
meant that you submitted it in 2016.
yeah.
So there.
Yeah, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Yeah, so yes, the people were sleeping in the line because the people, I mean, they open the doors and close in 10 minutes, and they accept like 20 people or maximum 50 people. But in the line, there is more than 50 people, many.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why. And I was not, of course, I could not enter because they closed the door and I was outside. And I tried, I mean, I continued to film because at that point when I was in the line, I saw the police officers, and I said, why there is a police? Because I mean, when you do line to go to cinema or whatever, another line,
Oh,
it's
well,
just a
yeah, but that's
line.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, and but I was like, okay, we are asylum seekers, but still we are normal people. I mean, we
Right.
we know how to do a line, and if you don't do anything wrong, it's just waiting. I mean, but you see the
I
tension.
think yeah,
Yeah,
I think from their perspective there is tension because people are very stressed in very dire and very desperate situations.
yeah,
And so when things like when people are in situations like that, uh things can happen where tempers, people
yeah,
can get really upset and angry, and they have a reason to, but they're there to maintain,
yeah,
control of that somehow.
yeah. I
So
understood
yeah.
also. Yeah, I understood all. But I was like, okay, so maybe something will happen. I don't know, but I should film it. And
Good
I
for
said,
you.
yeah. And I said, okay, how I can film it? I have my mobile phone, so just start to film with mobile phone.
Yep.
And I start to film it, and then the story came itself actually.
So after you filmed this, right? Because it basically ends, I mean, there's just describe a little bit of the synopsis for the filmmakers. We're going to put the link where they can watch it,
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
in the notes and in the article. But
Mm-hmm.
just give them just, basically this is the film.
Yeah, I mean, it's a film about people who are asylum seeker and who are waiting for their first appointment, and but they cannot enter the building, and because responsible people, they close the doors very very soon, and after that they are on the street. But thanks to some good people, uh, they can have a breakfast because uh, there is a French people who are preparing breakfast for asylum seekers who are on the street. It was the synopsis of the film. But of course, then the story is going like a winter time because people have to live in the street at the middle of Paris. It was like that. Yeah, the synopsis.
Yeah, and so when you're watching the film, and it's a short film, I think it was only like 3 minutes, wasn't it?
5 maybe. I don't
Oh
know.
no, it was.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it was a whole 5 minutes.
yeah,
Um, but it does have, it's not like, oh, here's a video clip of this
yeah,
situation. I mean,
yeah,
it really plays out, and it pulls at your heartstrings.
yeah.
It's a great story. I know you won awards in film festivals for it as well, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, the story itself was very moving, and I want to ask you in a minute here, right after
Hmm.
I mention this, I
Hmm.
want to ask you about the title because I think that the title is just brilliant.
Thank you.
Yes. Um, but I wanted
Yeah.
I want to mention that so when Beraat, it's like we're filling into this whole story between you and I, right? For our listeners. But
Yeah.
when Beraat submitted the film in 2016, um, for me, right? I saw it, and sometimes I watch films, and like you watch something, and it touches you in one way, where you show it to somebody else, and you don't know how they're going to feel it, right?
Yeah.
Or see it. And when I saw it, what captured my attention, or however you want to say that, more than anything, was the fact that I had this program way back in 2009. I announced it right after I launched and publicized that I was creating this film festival. And the program is called Community Stories,
Hmm.
and it became the first category, official category for the festival.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the whole purpose of Community Stories is that I had been working in video production for a long time,
Hmm.
and I had witnessed many stories that we were telling, right? Because we were producing it with our cameras and editing, and we were interviewing people and all of that. And I also, in journalism, right? The
Hmm.
reporters go out and they report the stories of other people.
Hmm.
But the people themselves normally do not tell their own stories. And for me, as I was creating the film festival and putting things, together, creating the website and all this stuff, and adding the community stories program to it, um, this community stories program meant you have to be a part of the community or the
Yeah.
culture, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you're telling the story of.
Yeah.
So when I get this film from you, Beraat, I
Hmm.
was just, this is the ideal community. Well, I wouldn't say ideal, but it screamed, Susie, this is a community story.
Yeah.
And, and so I emailed you,
Yeah.
once we had the selections and we had selected all the films, and I said, I probably asked you if you were able to come to San Diego because I didn't
Yes.
know, that.
Hmm.
But I asked you to at least send a video message for our attendees, and you did that. But what happened, Beraat, and
Hmm.
you weren't there to see this, so I presented your message in the film, and then just stood in front of our audience, and they were just, their faces,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
they were just quiet and looking like shocked, right? Because the situation of the asylum seekers in 2017 was all over the news during the time
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. 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 After the Syrian civil war, it was a big
Mm-hmm.
crisis in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, as you can imagine, the timing of them seeing that was not at all like what they were looking at. I think it was a lot of like, uh, it's very sad. The people coming on the boats,
Yeah.
risking their lives, all
Yeah.
these things were happening. But none of them were talking about the people who made it to France or to any of the neighboring countries and how they were trying to settle themselves in some way, looking for
Mm-hmm.
a new home, kind of,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for when they listened to this story, I mean, when they watched it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what you could capture was a moment in time in Beraat's journey, you know?
Yeah.
And as a journalist, I mean, that's the other thing,
Mm-hmm.
journalists are a respected occupation, regardless of what, how people feel about it because of politics. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a respected profession,
Of
you
course,
know,
it is for me
and
always. Yeah.
exactly. And so to imagine that journalists are there in this line, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
with,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was just very harsh. And so I
Yeah.
asked people, what did you think of it? And everybody was just shocked. And,
Yeah.
they felt, and that was the purpose that I wanted to
Yeah.
convey,
Yeah. I
the
mean,
power of the story.
the contrast of that story. I mean, I was not there as a journalist. I was there as an asylum seeker, but at the same time, I was a journalist. So
Hmm.
my point of view was something from inside the story, because
Yep.
I mean, you can be a journalist and you can film it too from outside the line. But I was like, so that's why the angle of the first shot is like point of view of a person, because I was not I was not there for my work. I was there for my situation of my life, actually.
And the fact that you filmed it on a phone,
Uh,
I mean, it was just,
yeah,
that's the power that we didn't have years ago.
yes, that's true. I mean, if I had a camera at that time, I am sure that police will come and tell me don't film it, because you know uh, they don't want it, and they can't. Of course, as a journalist, I have right to film it, but they will tell me, "Oh, do you have a permission? Can I see your press card?" Things like that. And at that time, I was like without paper. I mean, because of course I had my visa and everything, but not a valid press card for France. So they could stop me if I had a traditional camera. That's for sure.
So crazy. And you would think it would be the other way around,
And
right?
they saw that, just they did not know that at that time I will tell a story. They saw me, everybody in the line, they saw me. I was like a regular asylum seeker with a mobile phone, and just he's filming, and it's okay. I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
It was like that. And when I yeah when I asked me some people in the line, they asked me, "Who are you?" I said them, "Don't worry, I'm like you, asylum seeker. I'm here for my appointment in this line, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm a journalist. So I wanna tell our story, this situation right now. I want that people see it." So they were okay. They were like, "Yeah, you can film. It's good."
Wow. I think for our listeners who are listening to this, it may take a little bit for them, like let that sink in. you know, because that's very powerful. That's more powerful than it seems as you hear it. But if you stop to think about it, that's very powerful, because they're going, oh, you're in our situation, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you're a journalist and you're going to be reporting on this in some
Yeah,
way,
yeah, 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 yeah,
so
yeah.
that's incredible. Okay, now let me ask you about the title.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the breakfast of champions, because for me, those people are champions. Because
Well, you
really,
have to know. I mean, I have to tell you.
yeah,
I have to tell you this.
yeah.
So there is a cereal, a morning breakfast cereal, and the TV commercials would say such and such. To be honest with you, I don't remember what the name of the cereal was, but The Breakfast of Champions. And I think they even wrote it on the box.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I saw that,
Mhm.
the title, at first, I wasn't sure what I was going to watch, you know?
Okay. Yeah. 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 I mean, for me, those people are champions because uh, for their life to survive and for their family, they did something really, really hard. They left
They
their
struggled.
country. Yeah, they had to leave their country. This is something really huge, actually. I mean, some
It's a
people,
sacrifice. I mean, nobody
yeah,
wants to do that.
yeah, some people are thinking that against migrants and it's like, oh, easy, etc., etc. No, nobody like to uh, leave their country and go somewhere that they don't know, actually, even they don't know language and the everything. I mean, so it was those people were, like you said, maybe they crossed the sea, Mediterranean Sea and etc. So those people were, to me, they were champions. Okay. And
Yeah.
just the breakfast was the what was happening. It was a breakfast, after the line there were some volunteer people, good people, and they just came to here to share a breakfast. So they were also champions because they are trying to help other people who are in struggle and they don't know them, but just they, and it's really early and it was cold, but they are there and preparing a breakfast for those people. So they were also champions, and it was meeting of champions during a breakfast. So it was a breakfast of champions to me.
Yeah. It's there's so many stories within the story of the experience in that one little 5-minute film. Beraat, let me shift. Let me shift now. Let me
Okay.
shift gears. We're going into third now. um, let's talk about what's happened since, because I've been corresponding with you ever since, right?
Yeah.
And as a friend, and you know, I think some of the people that are listening who are filmmakers who have been a part of our film festival, maybe just once or a couple times or whatever, know that the people that I meet through the film festival, the filmmakers, uh, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. Um, I mean, I love people that share stories and make films, and I want to continue to inspire you to do that. And you had several other films that you would constantly, tell me, look, I made another film, but it doesn't qualify because of the length, right, of the film.
Yeah.
And I always felt bad because I was like, he's gonna get angry because I know that I'm gonna have to tell him it's not gonna qualify, and he can't, and you really wanted to. And so a couple, I think it was like in 2020, yeah, right after we launched the streaming service, I
Yes.
finally had a good, but I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So you, in the meantime, had been making films, and you were living. You found a decent living situation, right? I mean, right after Breakfast in Champions, how long did it take for you from that moment, right? Did it take for you to find a place where you could, where you could live like a in some respectable way, I should say,
Yes,
right?
yes, 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 yes. Well, it took like more than 2 years, 2 years, 2.5, something like that.
Oh,
After Breakfast of Champions, I met with that association some several months after that. La Maison des Journalistes. It's an association for
So your French is now perfect.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but I try. So, La Maison des Journalistes is it's a association for exiled journalists who are in Paris, and they host those journalists. They give a room, and you live together with all other journalists who came from other part of the world where there is no freedom of speech, unfortunately. And I start to live there, and I lived there for 2 years. And then when I had my statue as a political refugee, I left there because it was the policy: when you have your paper, you can work here, and then you can find other place, so that you can leave the room and other person who needs it can come. It's like that. And after that,
Right.
I moved to my place. So it took 2 years, more than 2 years.
It took years, Beraat,
Yeah,
because you
it
just
was.
now moved, and we're
Yeah,
talking from 2016, right?
yeah. I came to France 2016, and I
Yeah.
had my statue 2018 February.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's been years.
yeah. It was not
But I
easy.
mean, before that, I mean, it's not like you were sleeping on the street, right?
No. Of course not.
Okay.
Of course not. No, I was lucky. I mean, like this, I was before that I was working, so I had some money,
Okay.
for me. So I find the room, but my money finished because it was long period, and then I find that association, and they gave me that room, and
Yeah.
it was for free because they were knowing that you don't have permission to work as an asylum seeker. In France, it's like that. To able to work, you have to be refugee. You have to be that you have to have that statue. And of course, there is some helps, and not much, but so it was not easy. But I was not on the street.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now 2000, not 13. This is my history now. But 2018, you made another film, and it was called Sweat.
Yeah.
And you submit it because it's a music videos, which is usually perfect for the time, the length that qualifies, because most songs are about between 2 and
Yeah, yeah,
4 minutes or something.
yeah.
So you submitted Sweat, and
Yes.
we're gonna share this with everybody, so that so guys, when we're mentioning these films, but you're gonna be able to watch them all.
Mm-hmm.
um, so Sweat was a music video,
Mm-hmm.
and you were actually were you hired to do this? How tell me this a little. Tell everybody
Okay.
a little bit about this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Paris there is a Musée d'Orsay. It's my favorite museum actually, and I was visiting it with a friend, a musician and painter, Joe Langley, and he is singing at that music video. So he's from the United States, by the way.
Hmm.
So he was like, Barrett, I have an idea. Just could you film me for my song, The Sweat? Just I wanna walk, and with my little camera, please film me. Is it okay, extra? I said, of course, just do it. And we were at the Musée d'Orsay visiting. Anyway, so we go out, and there is a bridge just next by the Musée d'Orsay, and he started to walk, and I said, wait a minute, you know what, I think it can be really, I mean, something better. Why just, I mean, you find a girl who can dance with you in the video, and I go to my place, I take my a gimbal for my mobile, for my smartphone, and I want to do it, more, I mean, high quality. I will tell you. So I said to him, just find a girl that you can dance with her, and I will take my gimbal and I will film it with my smartphone, and it will be just one take, just one long take, no cut, and you will walk and you will sing on the bridge. He said, okay, just try it. And then we try it. We took, of course, some couple takes, and then it was the video Sweat. That's the
Yeah.
story. So I
Well,
was
it
not
came out
hired. It
really
was,
well.
yeah,
It came out so well.
yeah. I really love that music video.
Yeah, me too. And I love the music is so
Yeah,
lively,
yeah. Great
and
song.
so from there you've made a few other short films
Yes.
with your phone. So you went from so this is so look, I'm not trying to offend Beraat in any way, but I'm going to be very honest because I
Please.
would not be doing him any favors. So when you watch Breakfast of Champions, right, it's very amateur, right?
Mm-hmm,
It's a
mm-hmm.
very amateur filming. It's
Yeah.
handheld, it's right there, it's
Yeah.
the moment,
Yeah.
and it's coming from a reporter that's used to a nicer camera. You
Yeah.
don't have to work so hard. It has some weight to it. All these things, right? So you're seeing this, right? And then you jump to that video Sweat, and the progress is incredible, because
Thank you.
yes, he used a gimbal, but here's the
Yeah.
thing about that one long take. You follow this guy who's not only singing, but he's dancing
Yeah.
around,
Yeah. Yeah.
moving across this bridge, or not across, but going down this bridge, walking down, dancing, moving, singing, all these things. And then the choreography,
Yeah.
right, of
Yeah.
this whole thing, where the girl comes along,
Yeah.
there's a girl there, and and everything just looks like it just happened. It doesn't
Yeah.
look like it's planned.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
acting, it was an act, but it was very well done. And then it just keeps going. It was very well done. And I think, obviously we selected it. There's a reason for it. It was good.
Yeah.
This wasn't a community story. It was a music video,
Yeah.
but it was really good. And
Thank you.
then you're very, very welcome. And then you get to, COVID.
Yeah.
COVID happens,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And you're living in this place, and all of a sudden, Beraat turns around and makes how long? It's like almost 50 minutes a
Uh
film.
yeah, the Lost Band.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this film, he so I think I should tell them how this comes along, because anyone who knows about the International Mobile Film Festival is going to say, well, that doesn't qualify, Susie. So I found out about this film because he brought it to my attention, and also because I'm connecting with everybody on social media. So sometimes I get to see things. I get to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And he said, and I saw the film, and he kind of mentioned it on a post or something on Twitter. And I said, hey, Beraat, I got
Yeah.
some really good news for you.
Yeah.
Think you probably remember this message.
Yeah.
All those times that you've gotten mad. No. That
No,
you
no.
you
No, no,
have
no.
you've wanted me, the films didn't qualify, and I felt bad. I really do. I always
Yeah.
feel bad when I have to turn someone down because I want everybody to get in.
Yeah.
And so I said, I finally, and it's coming. I can't tell you what it is yet, but it's coming. There's a I don't know if I said platform or whatever I said, but I said there's a way
Yeah.
that you're gonna love this, and your film, regardless of how long they are, they're
Yeah.
gonna qualify.
Yeah. I
And you
was
were just
very
like,
excited.
oh
Yeah. I
yeah.
was very
And
excited.
and then I left you there, just waiting.
Thank you.
And then we launched in September 8th, 2020. in the middle of the pandemic,
Yeah.
um, we launched the streaming service for mobile films and smartphone films and videos.
Yeah.
And Beraat was a few weeks after that. He submitted, not like a film festival, but he submitted his film, shared the link, and I watched it to see if it could go on this platform. That was the first time I watched it. And I felt like a mom, right? Like the mom being so proud of the child. Look
Wow.
how far he's come. That's a great story. So let's
Thank you.
let's have you talk a little bit about how that came to be,
Yeah.
and a little bit about the synopsis of it too.
Okay. The Lost Pen is a one take short movie, black and white, and it goes 15 minutes, and it's a story of Syrian journalist and poet who is looking for his pen. Actually, he has a pen which is a gift of his mother, and he lost his mother during the war. And he is right. If he has an idea for a poem, he is writing that poem with this pencil, only with this pen. So it is so special to him. One day, one morning, he has an idea. He wanna write a poem, but he cannot find the pen. So this guy Kerem starts to looking for that pen in the Maison de Journaliste, where I mentioned before, that association where the exiled journalists are living, because Kerem is living there. That's the story of the lost pen. But if you ask me how it came, I mean, I wrote it when I was living in the Maison de Journaliste. And honestly speaking, when I write something, a screenplay, always the place are really, they have an influence on me really big. I mean, when I am somewhere, I am like, okay, it's like very cinematographic. I mean, I can maybe write something about this place, or a story which is going on this place. So the Maison des Journalistes have two doors for corridors, so you can make a tour in the building without any cut. So I said, you know what? I can make a movie, one long take without cut in this place, but I should make a tour. But why some person, protagonist, has to do all building a tour? Why? I mean, which is the, so I said to myself, oh, maybe he is looking for something that he lost. So my protagonist have to lose something. So I was okay. What? I mean, nowadays everybody can lose their smartphones, but I was like, a smartphone. It's not so. It's not so.
It's
Uh,
not so romantic.
it's not so romantic, and I could not find a metaphor from that. So I was like, just a second. Uh, Here, everybody who are living in Maison de Journalistes, they are journalists who lost their freedom of speech in their country. So, I mean, they are looking for freedom of speech. That's why they are looking for freedom of press. That's why they are in France. So they lost once freedom of speech. So I should find a metaphor for freedom of speech. I said to myself, okay, it can be a pen, because we are writing with our pens. But I was like, okay, but nowadays you have computers, you have your smartphone. I mean, nobody writing with a pen. So I was like, okay, if this pen is something like magical, I mean, very special, I mean, you can't write something without this special pen. So I said to myself, okay, it should be a pen which is very special. But how a pen can be special? So at that time, I was a neighbor who is living next door. and it was a Syrian photographer, journalist, and his name is Kerem. He was my friend at those time, a very young journalist from Syria. And I learned that he lost his mother during the civil war. So I was like, okay, I should. And I really, it was a good friend. I really love my friend. So I said, okay, I will put Kerem in my movie, but I will change a bit. I want it's a fictional a bit. So I was the story of the mother and the gift. It's coming from Kerem actually, because I learned that he lost his mother. So I said, okay. And the poetry part is it's from a bit me actually. I'm writing poems too. So I said, okay, let's see. And I mean, if you try to write poems, sometimes you have some idea and you have to write it down, because you can forget it. So it's like emergency situation when you had that brilliant ideas, brilliant words for a poem. So I said, okay, it can be a poet, but he is looking for the special magical pen because he lost it. And pen is actually freedom of speech, a metaphor. And everybody here, they are looking for that pen, freedom of speech. And I said, okay, during the way of that search, he can meet with other journalists, and they can tell him the real stories, and they can, I mean, as as themselves, they can tell their stories. So that's why I choose my journalist friends, no actors, and I told them, listen, I try to write a screenplay. I want that you are in my film, but just tell me one story, one experience, real experience that you had during this period. It can be something happy story or sad story, doesn't matter, because I don't want to tell just sad stories because you are a refugee. No, I mean, life goes on, and
Right.
sometimes there is some good things. So you can tell me something, a really good story, but you cannot forget. So they said to me, okay. And as a journalist, I took my notes. They explained the real story, and I said them, listen, you will play yourself, and you will tell this story again during the movie. So I wrote the script, screenplay. I gave them. They worked on it, but during filming, I told them, listen, forget my screenplay. It was your story. Just explain me again with different sentences. It's not a problem, because it was one take, and we were not. It was a no budget film, so there is no budget. We cannot have many takes, etc., etc. So I told them, just this is your story. Forget my sentence. Just explain me again.
So let me, yeah,
Yeah.
this is crazy though. So how did you coordinate? Because what happens is because it's one long take and there's no
Yeah.
breaks.
Yeah.
The timing of everything
Yeah.
has to be perfect.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So people had to. Did you have someone that was running ahead saying, "Okay, they're coming. They're
No.
ready for your
No.
piece," or
No.
anything?
No.
Wow.
No. No. And you know what? The long why it's one take, because it's the place, and also the story is, you know, I mean, I want that people who are watching the film has the same time experience, because trying to remember something or forget an idea, it's about time. So I want that it's the time of the film and the time that you watched it should be real and should be same, because if you
So
cut, yeah.
this is why you won like 1,000 awards for this film, Beraat. And this is why you have come so far, in as a director.
Thank you.
And I'm not saying, oh, forget your journalist. Everything is connected.
Yeah, yeah.
But your perspective as a director and how you put these films together, you know, the story. I mean, you put more time in developing the story so that it has a meaning and it has a purpose for the viewer who's watching it. That's where the success of your story is, of your film. I don't think it has much. I mean, look, when you made this, did you use a gimbal?
Yeah,
Did
yes.
you use lenses?
No, no lens, just gimbal.
Okay. And then you recorded the audio separately.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then you had someone. Did you edit it or did someone else edit?
Actually, there's no cut, but for the end of the
Yeah, but you
movie,
have
you
to.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I had a one person who edited. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah, for listeners, it's like, well, it has to have titles. It has
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
sometimes you have to work out a little bit or kink the exposure or whatever too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But the thing is, though, that the film came together very well, and it's like a play in a theater where the audience, though, is riding on the shoulders of the camera person,
Hmm.
you
Okay.
know, and getting that perspective. And so you really bring the other effect, because you were talking about the location. I feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
giving you a critical review. Here's the the review of your film. The corridors.
Yeah,
So because the corridors are, even though they are white,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
The space of the corridors while you're filming him, with
Mm-hmm,
the doors opening and closing
mm-hmm,
and the people
mm-hmm,
coming in and out and all these things,
mm-hmm.
that's just um it's really incredible that you did that, because what it does is it puts the viewer smack in the middle of that space, really feeling empathy for him who lost his pen and is trying to convey to someone, this is a very important pen, but at the same time, his mind is trying to remember the lines of the poetry that he wants
Yes,
to write.
yes, yeah, 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 yeah.
And so the viewer is feeling a little bit of that anguish, and they're going through these corridors, and there's the interruptions of people just, oh, let me share this. Oh, let me share that. It's a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
well made film. And so, yeah. And the fact that, I think it was ideal. I don't think it could have been done as well with a traditional camera and equipment and all that. I
Yeah,
think the
because yeah,
minimalist part, it
yeah,
really worked well.
yeah, that's true. You're right, because it's not a big corridor. So if you have those cameras with cameraman, some
Hmm.
assistants for focus puller and everything, I mean, you cannot walk like I walked. You can, because there is not enough place, because the corridor is not so big. You see,
Yeah.
it was not it yeah, it was really, with smartphone, it was really a match. I mean,
Yeah. So all those things together, I just want to. So we're coming close to an hour here, but what I want to convey to our listeners is how inspiring it is to the progress that you've made, and one day, you know people will listen to this podcast, maybe you again,
yeah.
and we'll go back and say, wow, those were my beginning days.
Yeah,
Because I really do feel like, as long as you keep pursuing this, Beraat, and anyone out there who's making films, it's the story. Beraat's story really is very inspiring, because you come from what they call humble beginnings, right? Where you're doing something, and then you keep at it. You find some sort of pleasure in doing this, you know,
Yeah.
and you keep at it and you keep at it. But you are learning so much along the way because you're taking the time to really process the thinking that's involved in making a story into a film, which is what you just explained in that whole explanation of how you created this story from a thought into something that was involved different people in the building, and how the building itself is part of the story. It's like one of the characters in the story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So um shoot, I don't know what else to say, Beraat. I mean, you've done a really
Thank you,
good job
Susie.
with this.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
So let's just end this on a happy note to tell everyone that Beraat is one of he's a member of the Mobile Film Stories website, which is the first streaming service for only films shot with mobile phones and videos as well. And he's a member of that as an official filmmaker, streaming his films on this website. Do you want to add anything to that? Because we're going to share the link to your page.
That's great. I mean, that platform is really, really. I'm very excited about it because you know what, I during those days I follow also festivals, mobile film festivals, and also
Yeah.
other classical festivals like big ones too.
Yeah.
And what I recognize during those mobile film festivals, really you can meet very original and new ideas and very original and new ways of movie making. So in your platform, people will find those kind of film because you know some, I mean, independent people, if you give some opportunities, they can create something really new and revolutionary new. So that's why it is really, really interesting to meet with a mobile film and mobile filmmakers. So that's why I think it's really important what you do with this platform.
Yeah, it's a space.
Yeah.
It's a platform and it's a space,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
also it's an opportunity as well. And it's like if you're going to create something, like sometimes, well, like, okay, you're in France, so let's bring up a bakery, right? Why does a bakery even exist? Well, there's a need for bread and pastries.
Yeah.
There are people celebrate a lot.
Yes.
And so, and when people celebrate, they like to you know have some pastries and some coffee,
Yeah.
and that's what this platform is. It's the bakery for the mobile films. I feel like I'm being silly, but I'm just trying to convey the message. Beraat, I can only wish you the very, very best
Me
in
too
the
for
next
you.
films.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
Yes, and I'm waiting for your feature film coming out soon, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I hope.
I,
Yeah.
I really think you're
Yeah.
ready. I really think you're ready. And it should be shot, all of it, with a smartphone so that we can put it in mobile film stories. And also, because if you submit it to the festival, maybe we can finally have you here in San Diego.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Susie. I mean, I have some projects, couple projects. Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah. Not to
Yeah.
put you on the spot in a public way. This only goes around the world, but
Yeah. I mean, if you want, I can talk about it.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I have a documentary. It's like semi mobile film because some scenes shot by smartphone, some scenes shot by DSLR camera. Actually, it's about African American jazz musicians who are living right now in Paris.
Mm.
So it's about jazz. It's about being African American in Paris. How is it? It's about immigration. It's about home, actually. And the name of the documentary will be Just My Home. So I am editing it right now. Actually, it's a community story. I wish one day you can watch it, and I really like to talk about it with you. So the other thing is a short film. It's like saving the flower, the name of the film. It's a film noir, and nowadays I think to film it with a smartphone. I can tell you that.
You did film it with a smartphone.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, I support you no matter what. So, and I think I need to say that more often because I'm so passionate about this. Some of the filmmakers, you know, that have made a film and later go, well, I've made another film, but it wasn't shot with a smartphone. I'm so sorry. They act like they're breaking my heart.
Yeah, I know that.
But
Yeah.
but you know, the only reason I want you to make films with the smartphone is so that I can you know, present it and have it be a part of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But aside from that, you're a human being, you're a filmmaker, and I totally support you because even if you're out there and you're listening and you're a filmmaker and you haven't made any mobile films, I still support you. And I'm hoping that you'll at least make one film with your smartphone so that you can interact with this incredible community of people like Beraat and many others. Beraat, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Do
Susie.
you have? Let's let everybody know, just in case they don't feel like reading the notes. Your Instagram is Rookie Skybird.
Yes, exactly.
And on Twitter, you are Beraat Gokkus.
Yes.
And
My
that is
name.
spelled with two
was
A's
great.
and two K's.
Yeah. Yeah. 2A and 2K.
And the same on Facebook, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you also have a Facebook page for The Lost Pen, right?
Yes. That's true.
Okay. Is it called The Lost Pen or Lost Pen on Facebook?
The Lost Pen.
Okay, good. And why don't you say the title in French?
Le stylo perdu.
Okay. See, I could not do that. So, all right. Well, thank you again, Beraat. Say goodbye to our listeners.
Thank you. Goodbye. And thank you very much for your time. If you want to ask a question or write me, you had my social media addresses. Feel free. And please really just check out that mobile filmmaking platform. You won't regret.